I will die tonight. This isn't a guess. If you find this, don't stay here after midnight. Liam read the lines again, fingers tightening on the worn leather cover. He was sitting at a small kitchen table in a strange apartment that didn't belong to him, with a single flickering bulb casting nervous light over the pages. He shouldn't have been there. That thought echoed again and again. The landlord had given him the keys that morning. Guy never paid last month. I went to check, and he's just gone. No relatives, no friends. If you want the place, it's cheap. Just clear out his stuff. The place looked abandoned in a hurry. A plate with dried food on it. A chair slightly pulled back like someone had stood up too fast. A jacket still hung over the back of the sofa, and a diary on the table. Open, waiting. Liam flipped to the next page. Desi Treziam. I woke up knowing it, like someone had whispered it inside my skull while I was asleep. I will die today. Not someday. Not vaguely. Today. The date is circled already in my head. There is no doubt. The handwriting was tight and thin, pressed deep into the paper as if the pen had been shaking. At first I thought it was a panic attack. Then I went out. Liam's eyes dropped further. I asked 3 people at a time on the street, just to feel normal. The first woman looked at me and said, "You don't have much of it left." Then she walked away before I could react. Liam let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He flipped the page. The next entry had no time written, just a line. "I can't leave the building anymore." I tried to walk past the lobby door, toward the street. The moment I stepped over the threshold, the world bent. That's the only word I have. The hallway grew longer instead of shorter. The door I had just come through was suddenly at the far end again, behind me. I walked for 10 minutes and never reached the exit, but I could see it, like the building is folding me inward, not letting me go. Liam glanced up. Silence. The hallway outside the kitchen was dim, leading to the front door, slightly ajar. He could see the chain lock hanging down like a metal tongue. The apartment felt too narrow, too long. He swallowed and went back to the diary. 2:21 policial militar. Someone knocked 3 times. Steady.com. When I looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty. I thought it was a prank. I laughed. I actually laughed. Liam heard something distant in the building, a door slamming several floors below, or above. It was hard to tell. He turned the page more carefully this time. 2:27 policial militar. They knocked again. It wasn't the same. The sound was wrong. You know how you can tell when someone knocks with flesh? Knuckles. This sounded like bones, like someone tapping with bare bone on wood. Hollow, clean. I don't want to check the peephole again. I don't want to see what's learning how to knock. Liam rubbed his arms. Suddenly cold though, the room was warm and stale. The next lines were more frantic, ink darker, pressed harder. 13 policial militar. I turned on the TV for noise. Every channel is snow, except one. The one that works shows only my front door. Same angle as the peephole. No sound, just a door. I unplugged the TV. The image stayed for 3 seconds after the power went out. I watched myself standing there in the dark, staring at the screen, from behind. Liam stopped reading. He glanced at the corner of the living room, where an old TV sat on a dusty stand. The power light was off. The screen was black. It felt like an animal pretending to sleep. He forced himself to continue. 42, policial militar. I tried calling someone, anyone. Every number connected. No matter what I dialed, it rang, and rang. And then someone picked up. There was a line of ink dragged downward, as if the pen had paused for a long time. They breathed like me. Same rhythm. Same little catch on the exhale I've always had since I was a kid. When I say hello, they repeat it in my voice a half second later, like an echo that's too close to be real. I asked, "Am I going to die tonight?" My voice on the other end laughed, and it said, "You already did." Liam's heart stumbled. Already did. He looked slowly, very slowly, at the old phone resting on the kitchen counter. The cord was cut, the end frayed and gray, like it had been dead for years. The entries grew tighter toward the bottom of the page, like the writer's hand had been racing against something. 5:30 p.m., the sun is starting to go down. The shadows in the hallway don't match the direction of the light. Some of them bend toward my door. The apartment upstairs is empty. I know because the landlord said so. But every time I stop writing, I hear footsteps pacing above me. They stop when I look at the ceiling. A dark blot of ink, a restart, 6:12, Policia Militar. I turned on all the lights. It made it worse. There's nowhere for the darkness to hide now, so it sits in corners like something crouching, waiting for me to blink. Liam realized his own eyes were burning. He hadn't blinked in several seconds. He forced his gaze down. The next page felt heavier, as if it had absorbed sweat. 7:47 p.m. I've tried everything. The window doesn't open. It's painted shut. The glass shows only the hallway, as if the outside doesn't exist anymore. When I press my hand against it, another hand presses back from the other side. Same lines, same scars. I pulled my hand away. The one on the other side didn't. Liam heard a soft creak in the apartment, with shifting, or someone leaning. He told himself old buildings made sounds. He'd grown up in one, but this building was listening too closely. He flipped faster. The handwriting had become jagged now, letters warped. 8:30 p.m. I understand it now. This place isn't haunted, it's hungry. It knew today was my day. That's why I woke up with the knowledge already placed in my head like a seed. It's not about how I die, it's about when. Midnight. The building is winding the clock. Sometimes I see myself at the end of the hallway, just a silhouette, standing, watching me. Right when I look up, he's gone. But when I look back at the diary, there are new lines written that I don't remember writing. Liam's throat felt dry. He checked the hallway again, empty. But for a second, just a too fast second, he could have sworn the hallway looked longer than before. The door further away, the walls narrower. He shut that thought down and turned to the last written page. The final entry was dated with the same day the landlord had mentioned, the day the tenant disappeared. 11:41 p.m. It's close now. The knocking hasn't stopped for 20 minutes. It never pauses, not even for a second, like it doesn't need to breathe. Liam almost dropped the diary when there was a single, soft sound from the corridor outside. Tap, not loud, not aggressive, just patient. He froze. Nothing followed. No second knock, no third. Just that one small reminder that he was not alone in the building. He forced himself to keep reading, because stopping felt worse. 11:49 Policial Militar. It started speaking. It doesn't use words. It uses my voice but bends it backwards, like playing a tape the wrong way. The sound leaks through the mail slot, under the door, through the peephole. Every time it drags my voice across the wood, the letters on the door change. I watch my apartment number twist into something that isn't numbers anymore. It looks more like teeth. The ink on the next word was almost gouged into the paper. I can hear it behind me, but when I turn around, there's nothing. The corners of the room are wrong now. There are more than 4. I keep seeing new ones in my peripheral vision, waiting for me to look directly at them. I won't. Liam realized his hands were trembling. The last lines were written big, overlapping, desperate. 11:57 Policial Militar. I tried writing my way out. Writing is the only thing that still obeys me. If someone finds this, you're already inside the same mouth that swallowed me. You're not in a new apartment. You're in its stomach. It likes people who read. Don't be here at midnight. That was the last line. The rest of the pages were blank. Liam checked his phone with slow, clumsy fingers. 11:52 p.m. His chest tightened. Okay. It's just a story some disturbed guy wrote. He probably ran off, left everything. That's all. He closed the diary. The bulb above him flickered twice, then steadied. The hallway to the front door now seemed unmistakably longer. He knew that table wasn't usually this far from the exit. He could see the door, but it felt distant, like a photograph pinned to the end of a tunnel. Don't do this to yourself. Just walk. Just leave. He stood, chair scraping loudly against the floor, making him flinch at his own noise. Tap. This time, the knock came from behind him, but behind him was only the small kitchen window, painted over, showing nothing but his own faint reflection in the glass. His reflection didn't move. Liam froze. His heart pounded so hard he felt it in his teeth. He blinked. His reflection was no longer matching his posture. It was leaning closer to the glass, mouth slowly opening, like it was about to say something he couldn't hear yet. He took a step back. The apartment felt narrower, like the walls had exhaled and were now inhaling slowly, dragging the air in him toward the center. He grabbed his bag, diary in one hand, keys in the other, eyes locked on the front door. Just walk. Don't run. Doors don't get further away if you don't let them. He moved down the hallway. Each step felt wrong, like gravity was being adjusted beneath his feet. The air thickened, pressing against his chest. Midway down the hall, the bulb overhead buzzed and went out. Dark, not normal dark. This was thick, physical dark, like cloth wrapping around his face. The only light was a thin rectangle around the door, pale and distant. Behind him, something began to breathe. Not like a person, like a room learning how lungs work. Walls expanding, floor flexing, ceiling sighing. He kept walking, faster now. Tap, tap, tap. The knocking was everywhere at once, on the door ahead, on the walls, on the ceiling, underneath the floorboards, inches from his feet. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He almost didn't check it. He didn't want to light his face in that darkness. But it buzzed again and again, like something impatient. He checked the screen. Unknown caller. It stopped ringing as soon as he looked. Then, without him touching it, the screen lit again. But this time it wasn't a call. It was the clock. 11:59 p.m. The minute numbers flickered, like they were struggling to change. He realized he was no closer to the door than when he'd started walking. No, that wasn't possible. He could see it. Just a few more steps. Just a few. He took 3 large strides forward. The door didn't move. The hallway behind him, however, seemed shorter, closer, as if something was right there in the dark, just outside his personal circle of awareness. His phone screen dimmed. Then, for a second, it glitched, and instead of the time, it showed the front door, the exact angle of the peephole. On the other side, someone was standing, their head leaned against the door, listening. The skin where their face should be was smooth, unmarked, featureless. Liam's breath hitched. The image flickered. The person on the screen turned their head, not toward the peephole, but toward him, as if they could see him through the phone. The time snapped back. 0 o'clock, midnight. Every knock stopped. Silence fell so total it screamed. The breathing ceased. The buzzing light was gone. The building seemed to be holding itself perfectly still, like a predator coiled right before it strikes. Behind him, at the far end of the dark hallway, another light came on with a soft click. It was a small warm circle of light on the table in the kitchen. The diary was open again. From here, he could see the fresh red letters forming on the page. He shouldn't have been able to, but he could. His eyes burned as they tried to focus on the impossible distance. New words scratched themselves into existence. 12 a.m. He's reading IT now. His own name appeared in shaky letters. Liam won't leave. His knees almost buckled. He didn't remember telling anyone his name. He didn't remember ever saying it aloud in this apartment. The next line was slower, as if whatever was writing it was savoring each stroke. He thinks he just moved in. The final line came in a long, jagged drag of ink. He doesn't know he's been here all day. Liam tried to scream, but his throat locked. The front door at the end of the hallway twisted. The wood seemed to soften, bulge, then stretch into something wet and dark, like a huge pupil dilating, swallowing the frame. The metal of the handle melted into a row of crooked silver teeth. The last thing he saw before the darkness rushed at him from all directions was his own reflection in the glass of the kitchen window. Far behind him, it was still standing at the table, still reading, still smiling. The reflection lifted a hand and wrote one last sentence in the diary, with red that was no longer ink. If you find this, it's already too late for you to